Issue 102. We see all the freed Robians in Knothole reunited with their families, with even Mina reunited with her mom. I'm surprised she got that so quickly and easily. After Sally gives Elias the Sword of Acorns, expecting him to free Antoine's father, the sword actually talks, and begs Sally cutely not to leave him, as if he sees her as a mother figure. I really wish Sally wouldn't give the sword up later. I'd rather have her be overpowered than underpowered. I mean, look at Sonic. Anyways, it turns out only Sally heard the sword because it was sending the message to her mind. And Sally's mom irritatingly scolds her for sneaking off to Robotropolis because something bad could have happened to her. Good to see I have so much faith in her. Well, I guess that does run in the family. First Sally, now the king, now the queen. They all tend to not have faith in the heroes. I mean, all she wants to do is be useful again. Why can't you give her that? She clearly needs it. Sally, still trying to bottle up all of her emotions, even more than normal, says in tranquil fury with an emotionless expression that, "Mom, I'm not a porcelain doll. The sword had to be recovered." Sadly, the sword doesn't want to work for Elias, and the crowd cheers for Sally, who uses it instead. Antoine's father finally smiles again, and even says that he dreamed about Antoine, implying that roboticized slaves can still have dreams as if they had free will. Eggman in Robotropolis has a celebration as he's driving by Overlanders cheering for the Kindlebor clan, and he explains to Snively that he's doing this to draw attention away from the fact that there are witnesses to the Robians' escape. Eggman tells Snively that he's in an assassination state of mind, and decides just now to activate the sleeper agents Heavy and Bomb. Are they gonna get totally destroyed and never ever rebuilt? Or Bomb? For some reason, the king acts like it's Elias' fault that the sword didn't want to work for him, saying, "What were you thinking? How could you embarrass the royal family so?" Then for some reason, the king hypocritically asks Elias why he always has to feel the need to take control of the situation. Tough talk coming from a king who usurped Sally's authority. Jeffrey says that he's requesting a leave of absence, and this causes Elias to snap and say, "Well, I quit too! I never wanted this life. This isn't who I am. I'm not a leader. This role is meant for someone else. Didn't she prove it today?" And start to cry, saying, "Can't you see?" Just then, Heavy releases a bunch of gas bombs and says that due to just activated nanobots injected into each of the elite's bloodstreams during the time they were in Robotropolis, Eggman sends his regards. Since when did they get injected with anything? You'd think they would have talked about that in the cell. Then we cut to Sonic with Uncle Chuck, and for some reason, he runs off and then comes back saying that there's trouble, having magically known he had to do that for some reason. At least explain that he's psychic. He explains that Heavy and Bomb have taken the royal family hostage, as I wonder why none of them use the Sword of Acorns to prevent the whole thing. Rotor and Tails are asked to whip up a gizmo to stop them. So again, is Tails at this point accepted as being able to engineer stuff now? Or is it just that he's helping Rotor being given very specific instructions that anyone could follow? This shift happens so suddenly. Is he acknowledged as being a genius, or is he just some random assistant? Sonic spin dashes through a gate and a huge explosion of a whole bunch of different bombs happen, which I assume he'll survive because he has to. And Sally says, hugging her mother, that she's always been brave, after her mother is startled by seeing a bomb walk towards her. Unfortunately, there's an interruption to a dialogue box as Sonic shows up in a blur, and Heavy tells him that for every bomb that's destroyed, 10 more could be produced. That fast? And the building is set to explode as Sonic attempts to free the Acorns. The royal family, not actual Acorns. Then Heavy gets destroyed by an electromagnetic pulse simulator, which saves the day as they say that it's nap time. Sonic admits that he was really worried about Sally when he thought the bomb was going to blow. But unfortunately, when Sally remembers Mina kissing Sonic for the second time, she walks away from him instead of talking about her problem. Not to mention she's holding it against Sonic instead of Mina for some reason, even though you think she'd be mad at Mina since she initiated it. I think this is supposed to be a double standard that's common in the media. It's really annoying. Despite the King's confusing reluctance, Jeffrey says that not only does he want leave for his broken arm, but with Eggman's nanobots inside him and his crew, it would be best if they all underwent extensive medical treatment. After we see some downtime where Sonic and Tails are having fun looking through the family photos with Sonic's family, Sally sadly gives her family a letter from Elias, which says that he ran away because he was so ashamed of letting his father down. Elias not only had known that Sally should have been acting ruler instead, but also knew that he should have trusted Sonic's judgment, and yet he said nothing, and it nearly cost them all their lives. I wouldn't go that far. I can understand Elias making this heartbreaking decision because he really wants to get Sally back in authority. Not to mention he's incredibly ashamed of himself and insecure about his ability to be a ruler. It makes him very sympathetic. The next story has Knuckles travel back in time to Dimitri's original presentation, and he uses his overpowered for some reason powers to make the judge approve the plan to restore the floating island to the ground. Oh, it's not that he brainwashed him, as Knuckles says that nobody will guess that it was his voice they heard over the judges. So Knuckles actually disguised his voice and took the risk of someone potentially hearing the judge's voice and recognizing that it's totally out of sync with his lip movements. And unlike with Sonic making a robotic impersonation, this time the impersonation is actually justified because of Knuckles' green powers. Was it ever properly explained why he turned green and stuff anyways? He just got into a fight and now all of a sudden he's green. Anyways, he thinks that with a room full of witnesses, nobody would believe the magistrate trying to overturn that ruling. Then Edmund, using the Chaos Siphon, shouts at Dimitri in a panic that the descent velocity is increasing for no reason and the island is going down much too fast. You'd think that they would have tested the invention extensively enough to be able to realize that they have to drain the emeralds more slowly. Not to mention one of them said at the presentation that they've run through several scenarios and can't find anything that could go wrong. I admit, I am finding this time travel stuff with Knuckles basically being a genie to be really interesting and refreshing at this point. It's captivating. I just have to accept the moon logic that Knuckles didn't use his omnipotence to just get everything back to normal with a snap of the fingers instead of going through this convoluted time travel stuff. But it's nice to see alternate scenarios of time travel. Knuckles for some reason feels like he's being ripped apart and says that he's got to hold it together. And unfortunately he's thrown back to where he first started, with Dimitri telling him that they might all end up paying for his stubbornness. So why couldn't Knuckles have just used his magic to make sure the floating island would land more safely again? Dimitri asks Knuckles why everyone here still exists and says that his best guess is that Knuckles stopped the process he was going through before events could become irreversible. Bullshit. If he's supposed to be omnipotent, anything is reversible. And Dimitri continues that had Knuckles not reacted when he did, which I'm assuming means had Knuckles not gone back to Julie subconsciously when he did, it would have proven fatal for all concerned, because they would have never existed because of different time travel stuff. Then Dimitri explains that if the comet hadn't destroyed the landmass that became the floating island, an earthquake sure would. An earthquake that for some reason the Echidna seismologists failed to detect, and they didn't have a earthquake evacuation plan and stuff, or buildings that were made specifically to prevent an earthquake when the city has been built on some kind of faults that would cause an earthquake. And an earthquake that Knuckles could have easily prevented by just using his omnipotence to rewind time and then getting rid of both the comet and the earthquake. By the way, how does Dimitri know about what Knuckles saw back in time if Knuckles didn't tell him about it? Then Knuckles gets sent back in time to when Edmund decided to act against the Dark Legion goon. And then reality is altered so that Knuckles was the one who did it instead. Even though I thought it was Knuckles who was the one with the power to do all this. So how did Dimitri get him to do this when he's totally confused by this? And just before Knuckles seemed to turn half into a robot, and I wondered annoyed that Dimitri was somehow melding together with Knuckles, Knuckles then hugs Julie saying that he's not a robot. Dimitri explains that Knuckles' instinct for survival had kicked in and caused him to undo all his past changes to go back home. For a minute, Dimitri could have sworn that they were all robots living in Echidna Polos under the rule of Robotnik. So if the floating island had never floated, then naturally Robotnik would have taken it over. And for some reason, Knuckles would have been roboticized too, even though you'd think you'd be able to avoid that and just escape to the knothole. I don't understand the connection between Knuckles knocking out a Dark Legion goon instead of Edmund and this, though. Because Edmund would have just acted against the Dark Legion anyways. He would have gotten himself killed trying to protect his son anyways. Dimitri explains that when Knuckles saved Edmund from being killed, that took away the impetus for the creation of the Guardians by Steppenwolf, leaving the Echidnas vulnerable to an invasion by outside forces, because while I'm sure they still had a military, the Guardian family never tried to harness their innate powers and become super powerful. Knuckles then naturally shouts that it's not fair, and says that he has all his power and couldn't do good even once. Yes, you can. Just snap your fingers and bring all your friends and families back and the Dark Legion back to the Twilight Cage. If you can do literally anything you want, as Dimitri said, there's literally nothing stopping you. You don't need to rely on time travel, creating fascinating what-if scenarios. Just snap your fingers. Okay, you can't snap your fingers because he's wearing gloves. You know what I mean. Wave your arm or something. The first story was written by Carl Bullers, and has the Sword of Acorns beg Sally sadly not to leave it, and only work for her, as she frees Antoine's father. It has the brainwashed Heavy take the royal family hostage with a whole bunch of bombs, and get destroyed without anyone seeming to realize why he was doing all that, and has Sally continue to not talk about her problem with Sonic to either him or Mina, and just silently walk away. Does she feel powerless because she was robbed of power for so long? Or is she just so used to bottling everything up more than usual by this point so no one would worry about her and think she's weak, that she'd rather not stop now? Either way, this could all be solved if she just showed some damn communication skills, instead of being an incompetent girlfriend instead. Instead, she just goes right back to neglecting Sonic, and she finds out that Elias ran away from home so that she could be in charge, which is tragic for Elias since he did it out of insecurity, but great news for Sally, since being robbed of her only usefulness was breaking her. The second story was by Ken Penders, and shows an interesting what-if scenario thanks to Knuckles' time travel that shows that the floating island might have fallen too fast thanks to the Chaos Siphon being used and crashed fatally. But again, the whole story is held together with glue and duct tape, as I wonder why Knuckles couldn't use his omnipotence to save his people in the present time and not bother time travel at all. I love learning about these time travel what-if scenarios, but it's unnecessary padding.